Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the political science class. As students, you very well know we were doing the seventh chapter of a book, and the name of the chapter is Security in the Contemporary World. We had already finished our two parts, in which I told you regarding what do you understand by security, and gave you this particular flow chart of kinds of security, in which I told you about the traditional security in the first part and its two subparts, external and internal. And under internal also we studied military threat, choice against threats, or the choice of the government when there is a military attack from outside. And those three choices were to surrender, to prevent, to defend. Then I told you about the balance of power and alliance building. This was the subtopics taken under external, which is also a subtopic under traditional. And in the last video, that is the second part of this particular chapter, I told you about the internal notion of tradition. In that we studied about the communal rights, ethnic conflicts, or minorities or majorities, separatist movements. These are the problems which are occurring within the country. These are the internal problems, violence, or the military attacks within a country. So these came under the traditional security. So as I told you, kinds of security, traditional security and non-traditional. Now it's turn in the third part to take up this particular topic, that is non-traditional security. So from its very name you can understand this was traditional security, or we can say ancient or the old methods of security, which was basically focused on military attacks from outside. All these are the subpoints or the components which will be studied only regarding the military attacks or violence. But now we are taking about we are using a word non-traditional. These are not the ancient, these are the new concepts coming up and the problems which are more other than we can say traditional security. Under this we shall be studying about the human and global security. You can see here under non-traditional security we shall be studying separately human security also and global security also, and we will also try and understand why we are calling it non-traditional. Okay, I hope you have understood this particular flow chart so that you can have a complete understanding of this chapter. After reading the meaning of what do you understand by human and global security in context to non-traditional security, we shall be taking up some new problems and concepts which the human existence have been facing nowadays, or the humans have been facing some new challenges. These are new sources of threats, we can say terrorism, human rights, global poverty, migration, health epidemics. So these are some of the new components coming up in the today's new modern world. So we shall be taking this particular topic separately, but today we shall be doing non-traditional security under human and global security. So now starting the topic, non-traditional notions under the kinds of security. We had already done traditional security, and now we are taking up non-traditional notion of security. So first of all, what is the meaning of non-traditional notion? As I have already told you in the previous videos, but again I am repeating it. Non-traditional notion of security go beyond military threats to include a wide range of threats and danger affecting the conditions of human existence. So they are saying non-traditional notions are such type of security which go beyond the military threats, okay, which include wide range of threats. So these are some new sorts of threats and dangers. It is not harmful for the state or the boundary of a particular country, but it can be very much harmful for even the condition of the humans to have existence on this planet Earth. So these are some of the very serious threats and dangers to human existence on Earth. So these type of threats and dangers we will be studying under the topic non-traditional notions, because under traditional notion of security we were studying only the danger and threat which our country or the people of that country or the citizens were having from the outside power or from the outside military attack. It was only related to the military attack from the other neighboring rival country or the enemy country. But here the challenges and the threats and dangers are to the human existence events. So such type of threats and dangers we shall be taking up under non-traditional notion of security. And the next point, and the first point, is that in the traditional security conception, the referent is the state with its territory and governing institution. Referent here means for whom, who. like if you are talking about a security, traditional security, or we are talking about the non-traditional security, to whom we are giving the security. Like in the traditional method of security, or in the ancient method or the old method of security which was followed, in that the referent was state, in that the security was provided to the state or its territory, we can say, or the governing institutions. So all the danger and the threat which a country had was to its territory and governing institution. So the military was always in action to protect its territory and governing institution from the outside power. But here in the non-traditional security, what do you think, who will be the referent to whom the this security will be provided? It will be for the individuals or communities, or indeed all of the humankind. So we can say in the non-traditional security, it is not only just about the state, it is not only the protection and security of the state or its boundaries or its territory, but it is also about all the individuals living in that particular territory or a particular community, or indeed we can say non-traditional security has the referent or the components which takes care of indeed all the humankind. So as we read, these are some of the wide range of threats and dangers which are affecting the conditions of human existence. So under non-traditional security, it will not be only limited to the state territories or the military attack, but it will be further read about all the conditions of all the individuals, all the communities, and even we can say indeed all of the humankind. So this will be read under the non-traditional security notion. So the next point here you can say is, so non-traditional view of security have been called human security or global security. As we read, non-traditional security, as it undertakes all the conditions, security and threats and dangers to all the individuals, all the communities, and indeed each and every single citizen or the humankind. That is why we will be taking studying this non-traditional security under two categories. First is we shall be taking human security, and then we shall be taking global security. So under these two topics, we shall be covering non-traditional type of security. We will be seeing what are the threats and challenges and dangers to humankind or the human existence on this earth. What are the new sorts of problems which the humans have been facing now, because in the past we were studying only about the traditional security, in which a country had the danger from the other country, that was the military attack from the foreign country or the neighboring country, or we can say its rival. But now here the different components and new concepts we shall be taking up, that is the human security and global security. So now I am starting the first element of the non-traditional security notion, that is the human security. So let us study what do we mean by the human security first of all. So it's written, human security is about the protection of people more than the protection of state, as humans and state security are often the same thing. So here they are saying human security is about the protection of people. So here the importance is given more to the protection of human or the people or the individuals or a citizen of a country more than the protection of a state, because in traditional notion, as we know, in traditional security we were giving the more importance to the protection of a state or the territory of the state, to protect a state from the attack from the outside power or the outside military. But in under human security, the most important and the apex position is given to its citizens or the people of that particular place. That is why it's written human security is about the protection of people. It is all about the protection of people later on, or the more than protection of the state. Protection of state is not given as much importance as it is given to the protection of people, as human and state security are often the one and the same thing. If we can say, if you say it, human and state security are often the same thing, because if the state is protected, it's safe, most of it will be possible that the humans and the citizens living under that particular state or territory will be protected. But there is a case we can say here, but secure state do not automatically mean secure people. So we can say, we cannot say that if a state is secure, a state is protected, well protected by its military from the outside attack, it doesn't mean that the people living within the state are very happy, are living with freedom, are living with living a good lifestyle. We cannot say that. But it's written that's why. But secure states, the states which are secure from outside, okay, do not automatically, it doesn't matter automatically if they are secure from outside, the people and the citizens will be secure inside that particular state or territory. So protecting people or citizens from foreign attack may be necessary. So we can say protecting the citizens of a particular country from the foreign attack may be necessary condition for a security of individuals. We know that it is very important part for any country or any state to protect its citizens from the attack, from the foreign attack from outside. It is very important. That's why it's written necessary condition for the security of individuals. But along with it, we also have to remember, but it is certainly not a sufficient one. But it is not sufficient, we can say, that if we have protected our people from outside power, from the foreign attack, it doesn't mean our people are happy and they are living with liberty, equality, freedom. They have all the liberties to live a standard life or a good life in the country. So we cannot say if a country is secured from outside, it is sufficient for everyone. No, because during, for example, it's written here, because during the last 100 years, if you see the data of the last 100 years, more people have been killed by their own governments in the foreign by their own governments than the foreign armies. So they are saying the people within a country are killed even more by the foreign attack, because that is, we can say that more people are killed within because of its internal disturbance or internal imbalance in the society. We can say caste based, religion based, or gender based, rich poor. These are some of the imbalances which are the internal problems of a state. Because of that, government many people are killed within a country rather than the foreign attack or the foreign attack of the foreign armies. So we cannot say that if a state is protected from outside, so the people are safe and secure inside the state. For example, we have seen here in the last 100 years, many people have been killed by their own governments because there is so much of internal disturbances inside the country rather than the foreign armies or the attack of the foreign people. So after reading all the important concepts and meaning of non-traditional security under which we are studying human security, we can say that all proponents of human security agree that, so going through all the importance of all the characteristics of the human security, we agree that and we understand that primary goal, the main focus of the human security is protection of individual. Its main aim and objective is not the we can say objective is and aims is not to protect the state or the territory of a particular country. Basically, human security focus on the protection and good lifestyle of the individuals. So protect all the human rights of all the individuals to give them the good life. Because as we read up in these past points, that a secure state does not automatically mean secure people. To make people secure, human security is very important. So for the better understanding and the detailed study of what do we understand by the human security under non-traditional security notion, we will see both the narrow and the broad concept on the meaning of the this human security. What are the functions, or we can say what are the elements which are undertaken by human security when we are studying its narrow concept and when we are studying its broad concept. So proponents of the narrow concept, when we are understanding the narrow concept of human security focus on violent threats to individuals. It is only related to individuals or protection of community or protection of communities, individuals from internal violence. So in this narrow meaning or the narrow concept of human security, we are only focused on the type of threats and dangers which are individual or a community or a group of we can say a religious group is having the danger from the internal violence. The violence we can say on the basis of caste inequalities, or we can say on the basis of communal rights, or we can say on the basis of gender basis or racial basis, and also on the basis of rich and poor. So these are some of the internal violence. Violence are the when the people are physically hurting each other with and use of arms and weapons against each other within a country. So these are the internal violence through which human security want to protect people, individuals, or a group of communities. So this is the narrow concept of human security. So now moving on to the broad concept. What is the broad concept of human security? So what are the proponents or the broad concept of human security? It argues that threat agenda should include hunger. Here, the threat which the human individuals or communities, small communities or group of people are having within a society are hunger, disease, natural disasters. These are some of the upcoming broader concepts of human security which a citizen is facing in a society, within a country or within a state, inside the territory. As we can say, if a territory is protected from outside, according to when we were studying about human security or the non-traditional security, that in the traditional security we protect our territory from outside, from the military attack or the foreign military attack. But what about the internal problems, the problems like hunger, disease, natural disasters? These are also some of the problems where, and the very important problems because of which the more people around the country die every year, every time. So we have to protect people through this because these kill more people than, if we talk about the war, genocide and terrorism, as compared to these three problems, more number of people die because of hunger, disease and natural disaster within a country or within a state. So human security takes over to these type of threats which a human is facing, which would be a challenge for the human existence in future if we don't consider them. Moving forward, the next point is global security. So after human security, this is the next element we are studying under non-traditional security. This is global security. So what do we mean by global security? Global security implies protection from threats which may have effect on people and states globally. So these are the dangers and the threats which people are facing, but it is not limited to a particular state or to a particular territory or country. The people or the entire humans are facing globally. The type of threats and dangers under global security will be faced by the people globally around the world. This cannot be controlled by a single country. So it emerged in 1990. So these type of global threats have emerged after 1990 to respond problems like, we can say, global warming, terrorism, health epidemics like AIDS, bird flu and so on. The important thing is no country can resolve these problems alone. So we were studying about human security and traditional security, that those are the problems which a single state or country could tackle it on its own. It could protect its own boundary. It can defend itself from the foreign military attack. It could settle down its internal problem based on caste, religion or gender based, or hunger or unemployment. These were or related to natural disasters. So these were the problems related to certain areas which could tackle those problems on their own. But under global securities, these type of threats and dangers are globally in nature. So the nature is global, and that is why no country can tackle these problems alone. So these are the problems which can be solved if there is a mutual understanding between the nations around the country. Okay, so problems like global warming, you must have studied global warming since class 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, every time. So this is the upcoming problem because of which the temperature of the earth is increasing, because of which the glacier, the ice of the glacier is, or we can say the glacier is melting, because of which the sea level is increasing. So all the coastal areas or the islands which are above water right now, if the water rises 1 to 2 meter higher, many of the island nations can submerge under the water. So these are some of the problems which cannot be solved or resolved by only a single country. So these are some environmental problems which as a whole, as a group, all the nations can try to solve the problems. And same is the terrorism, as we have seen in the previous chapters, as you read about the terrorist attack on America also in 2001, about the World Trade Center. Health epidemics also, like you are also currently aware about the coronavirus, COVID-19. So this is also the health epidemics going around the world at this moment. So these are some of the problems which we are studying under global security, which has an impact on all this human existence around the world. So we cannot say it is having only limited to certain part of the world. Next is environmental degradation causing a serious threat to security. As a student of political science also, and you have also studied his geography till class 10th also. So environmental degradation, why there is so much of environmental degradation? If we talk about the 20 or 21st century, there is so much of industrialization, developing activities, economic activities. Every country wants to be economically stronger and stronger. For that, lot of development projects have been going around the world. Like industrialization has been growing so faster around the world, and especially also in developing countries, for which humans have been utilizing all the natural resources which are available to us in the environment. For this, we are degrading our environmental resources beyond the limit. So it is a challenge, or a serious challenge, or a threat to the security of human existence on this planet Earth. So for the development, or in the race of development, we have forgotten the importance and the balance which we have to maintain between the human and the environment. We cannot use all the resources just for the economic gain of a particular country or the human race. So like we can say, because of this environmental degradation, we can see the examples of deforestation, soil erosion, water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution. These are some of the latest problems coming up because of the fast growing development around the world. So we need to manage all this. This will come under the global security, because this environmental degradation is not only the problem of a particular country. This is going all around the world, and the countries which are still underdeveloped, the outside we can say MNCs come and settle their industries in those particular countries, and they use all the natural resources of those particular countries which are still not having the technology to use the natural resources of their own country. Now moving forward, due to global warming, they have given an example of global warming. What are the environmental degradation? One example we can see from here, and we can also understand that this environmental degradation is global in nature. A single country, or the effect, or we can say efforts of a single country, cannot resolve the problem of this global threats or dangers which the humans are going to face in the coming future. So due to the global warming, sea level rises of 1.5 to 2 meters. So if the global warming goes on with the same pace as it is now going on, the sea water is going to rise from 1.5 to 2 meters in height. As I told you, why the sea water will rise? Because the glaciers are melting because of the increase in the temperature of the atmosphere. And there are a few carbon like carbon dioxide and other gases also. There are some gases which are increasing the temperature of the environment, because of which the glaciers are melting, and when the glaciers are melting, more water is coming to the rivers and depositing its water in the ocean. And when that water is deposited in the ocean, the sea level rises from 1.5 to 2.0 in meter. If there is a rise of 1.5 to 2.0 meter, it would flood 20% of Bangladesh. So the countries near to the we can say sea or ocean or the coastal places, they may be submerged. For example, like 20% of Bangladesh will submerge if there is a if there will be around 2 meter of increase in the sea level. Inundate most of Maldives. So the places are Maldives, which are totally an island type of a country, surrounded by the sea or the ocean water. It may be submerged and threaten nearly half of the population of Thailand. Okay, and there will be a lot of danger to the people and the population of Thailand if there is a rise of 2 meter of height of sea rise. hence international cooperation. So one method to cope up with this sort of global threats and dangers to human existence, only international cooperation is the method through which we can resolve these problems. So it's written here, hence international cooperation is vital due to global nature of these problems, because the problems like global warming, terrorism, health epidemics, these are the problems which are global in nature. So alone a single country cannot tackle this. It should be a international cooperation to cope up with these sort of problems which are global in nature. So with this we have finished the part which we were studying, non-traditional notion of security. So I hope you have clearly understood the meaning of when we were saying kinds of security, and what I told you what is security. When we are free from any type of threats, there is no dangers to human, and we have no threats, it means we are secure, we have security. So we read about the kind of security. There were traditional security, old methods of security, which were under which we read that the only danger which a country is facing is from the outside military attack. It was all about the military attack. When we read about under the traditional security, we read about internal and external security. In internal and external also we read all about the military attacks. Okay, then we came up to with the non-traditional security, and in this we read about the human security and the global security. I hope you have understood this. Thank you.